Alrighty, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today for a really exciting customer story. With me, I have Christina Williams from Teradata. She is the PMO Director for IT and Procurement with over 15 years of experience in the space. And she is going to share with us their VividCharts reporting story. Thank you so much, Christina, for joining us. I will turn it over to you.
All right, well, I'm extremely excited to talk to you guys today about the Teradata kind of journey with VividCharts. It's been extremely beneficial for us as a PMO office, and so just really happy to share the use cases and kind of where our journey started and where we ended up with VividCharts. So going to cover a few areas today. So kind of summarizing, leveraging ServiceNow as our system of record for projects. What are some of the reporting challenges that we had, how we came about to VividCharts, what are those key benefits, and then really where we ended up and how we're leveraging it today within our environment. As Kentia mentioned, I am the PMO director at Teradata. I've been there for just shy of 5 years. I'm in the technology industry for 20 years, primarily focused on program and project management. And so with joining Teradata, one of the things that I was tasked with is standardizing how we manage the PMO, how we share the information, how we standardize process. And that is kind of really what started us exploring the options and coming across VividCharts as a mechanism for us to do that. And so as I mentioned, as an organization, we leverage ServiceNow's PPM module as our portfolio management. Once we got to the place of having all of our projects centralized in one location, it was end to end from a change management perspective to the project perspective. That whole piece of it was very seamless and something that was working very well. The challenges that we had was how do we get that information outward to our stakeholders? So our team supports essentially 12 business functions across the organization. So human resources, sales, go to market, marketing. So our stakeholders are not, generally non-IT folks. So they don't have ServiceNow ITIL licenses. They're not leveraging that platform other than just digesting the information. And so that's really where our largest challenge was. A lot of the limited capabilities within the PPM module. It's, in order to even view the information in there, it requires an additional license. And on top of that, there was definitely minimal configuration areas that we were able to adjust in the template. So being, Teradata is a data analytics company. We very much focus on data and, the project metrics that we report out on. We want to highlight the different business values, the strategic work streams, and being able to tie those back into our project status reporting just wasn't an option, leveraging kind of the out-of-the-box template that's there, where the fields are predetermined. From a design perspective, there's not really any branding opportunities. And it just really hindered us in being able to share out the status information of the various projects. And so what the team was ultimately doing is looking at Power BI to create, a secondary kind of list view for that. And then for status reporting, it was very manual with the team, copying and pasting information out of ServiceNow into an email template. And then for the various executive leadership meetings we had, having to then copy and paste and create new slides for that. So it was a lot of overhead of the team spending just doing that, to be able to share out the different status reporting stuff. And so this is kind of where we started talking and exploring, what are the options that we have? We want to maintain our projects in a central system of record, but we need the ability to share the information with our stakeholders, give them a view of what's going on, highlight the key data metrics and areas within our projects that we want to highlight and make it, branded for our team versus kind of just an out of the box, standard template that doesn't necessarily touch on the key business drivers that are in our projects. And so this was really what started our conversation around what are the opportunities that we could have with VividCharts and what are some of the challenges that we were faced with as we kind of got to that point. And so from a VividCharts perspective, it has been absolutely amazing. Like I said, this is probably one of the biggest changes and shifts within our PMO across the organization. It's kind of become the gold standard. Everybody knocks on our door and asks, how can they do the status reporting? Can they copy our templates? But what was great about VividCharts is that it was a ServiceNow supported enabled plugin. So it sits right on top of the existing platform. So there wasn't any additional overhead from a PM standpoint. We're able to update all of our data in one central location and then pull that out into a variety of different mechanisms to communicate it out. So right off the bat, we were saving, multiple hours a week per, program or project manager to do that. On top of that, it kind of opened the door for us to look at, what are the things we want to focus on? Can we create additional portals and more, steering committee or domain specific views for the stakeholders, and kind of really just built off of that. And so what we ended up doing was really configuring a status report with the key data elements that we wanted to talk to, formatting it so that it aligned with, again, Teradata branding, the messaging that we're trying to focus on from a PMO perspective, and creating a status report. And so that was really, instrumental in as far as being able for us to, in a professional way, share out all of the hard work that the team was working on. And so we started rolling the status reporting out. It was extremely well received. We definitely leverage it in a variety of ways, which is another benefit of VividCharts, is that the information sits there, but you're able to export it right into a PowerPoint slide. So for executive status updates, we're not having to then spend time to, copy and paste and create a new template. You can just, export that right out of the status report. And then it's a nice clean view. The other thing that was really great is, as we evolved and we rolled out the status reporting, we of course kept finding new things we wanted to call out. Once you have the ability to configure, it's always exciting to figure out, oh, can we add this field and can we highlight this business ROI metric? And we could certainly do that. And it was great to be able to configure it in a very easy manner to add widgets, add fields, and be able to enhance and to evolve the status report as we grew, as an organization. And so that's been really, really great for us. And again, it really kind of set the tone for us to highlight all of the work that the team as a whole was delivering, as far as, sharing it out with the stakeholders, getting that visibility across Teradata, not having additional license costs for people to just view the information that's in the status report. And then also, build the different dashboards so that as a stakeholder, I'm able to see all of the projects in my domain. I can click on a status report in one central location. I'm able to do all of that stuff in one spot. And it's just been really beneficial for us as a team. So as far as where we kind of ended up, holistically, is we leverage ServiceNow for all of our project management. Is our system of record. It is the central location where we keep all of our data that is project specific. That from there, we then leverage VividCharts to create additional dashboards, status reports, communication mechanisms out to the leadership team. And we've been able to kind of back away from having the Power BI dashboard, multiple avenues where people are having to click on different things to see a different level of detail, and be able to leverage VividCharts to get to that point across the board. So again, a lot of time saved, much more efficient. It's just been a great way for us to highlight and kind of configure what we want to show the different folks within our audience. So this kind of just shows, what we were doing, back when I started, was kind of an email template where we're having to copy and paste things out of there. This is our kind of our first mock-up template that we did with VividCharts. And as I mentioned, it's definitely evolved. There's a lot of branding that ties back and reinforces the key strategic deliverables that Teradata is working towards, that the projects are supporting. It highlights a lot of the key success metrics that we're trying to capture by project. And it really just as a whole increased the productivity. It became much more efficient for project managers. And also, it just was very well received by the various leaders and such across the organization, with just the simplicity of being able to access the information, how it's presented. It really focuses on the stuff that we care about as an organization, and doesn't have a lot of the additional areas that were very rigid from a configuration standpoint, just leveraging the ServiceNow out of the box tool. So it's just been a great journey. We continue to find new use cases for VividCharts, leveraging it for our demand process and other things like that. It's been a very powerful tool in helping us bridge the gap around our system of record for projects, sharing that out with the executive level, sharing it out broadly, including it in a variety of mechanisms without having to reinvent the wheel and do multiple things over to get that same information. And so as far as what's next, as I said, it's been very transformational for my team as a whole. And I would definitely encourage folks to look at the various automated options that you have with the data that sits there. It's been very powerful. It's great that it looks at a lot of the different fields within ServiceNow. So you're able to pull financial information into your status reports and things like that. So it's just been a really awesome tool for us, and kind of a good platform for us to share out what we're doing from the PMO standpoint.
Thank you so much, Christina. As she mentioned, as far as what's next, if you're interested in getting a personalized demo, seeing what your data will actually look like in VividCharts, please feel free to reach out to any of us today to set up that demo. Alternatively, please check out our live demo hub. This is a great place to find more reporting examples. And we'll actually be sending out details for that post our real-time event. So please keep your eyes peeled for that email. All right, we will go ahead and open up the floor to Q&A. And okay, looks like we do have a question here. The question is, how did you gather metrics to justify the ROI for purchase of VividCharts?
Yeah, I mean, that really, a lot of that was driven off of the limitation from a licensing perspective. So in order for us to leverage ServiceNow's PPM module out of the box and their status reporting, any stakeholder that we wanted to share that information with is required to have a license. So it's extremely expensive for a business user who really doesn't, leverage anything other in ServiceNow from a user perspective, to warrant a license just to be able to see that information. So the cost factor was definitely a huge piece. The other thing was leveraging VividCharts is, gold standard ServiceNow enabled. It enabled us to keep all of our information in one place, but be able to pull different data elements that were sitting within different tables within ServiceNow. So for example, the project record has certain information. The resource management module is a separate area, and the financial module is separate. And being able to pull all of that together in one standard report is something we leverage for our board of directors meetings. It highlights what the team is working on. So I think that's where, from an ROI perspective, is having the power of that data in one spot to help us make informed business decisions and all of that stuff. So and then on top of it, as I mentioned, I mean, we kind of just said it's on average, 4 hours a week that the different folks on my team are spending. What's their hourly salary? How much are we spending per week to just do status reporting? And that's ridiculous. And so the cost of the charts at that point was it was a no-brainer for us to move forward with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And kind of going off of that question, what sort of meetings are you running off of VividCharts reports, and what sort of decisions are being made in those meetings?
Yeah, I mean, so again, the system of record houses all of the data, but what VividCharts has done is given us a mechanism to present it in a way that's digestible for a variety of different executives. And so, as I mentioned, we pull this up at the executive leadership team level. On a monthly basis. They view the status reports. It's discussed in the board meeting as far as talking about the status of the projects. What are the key success measures? Why are we working on a specific project? So it's really the key mechanism that we pull into a lot of those discussions when talking about what's going on in the different projects. And then additionally, some of the dashboards that we've started exploring in having a central location where you can click on historical status reporting. We leverage those internally to look at areas of opportunity when you're able to see holistically, how many weeks was a project red, yellow, green, in one nice visual, click open those status reports. It's just been very helpful for us to see, how are we doing from a project execution standpoint. So it's also leveraged from an operational standpoint in our quarterly business reviews and our key targets as a PMO and as an IT organization to kind of substantiate some of the metrics that we use there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christina. As we mentioned, if you have any questions about anything that Christina has discussed on this session today, or you would like to do a live demo with your data with one of the VividCharts folks, please feel free to reach out to us after this session or after real time, and we'll definitely get back to you. But Christina, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us today for this customer story. We love Teradata VividCharts. We've really appreciated this partnership, and we can't wait to see what else we can do with the platform.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.